Hello viewers, welcome to Study with Master Notes again. So today I will cover MAG6 American Literature of Unit 27, that is Wallace Stevens poem, that is Poetry 2. I will cover, already I have covered in my previous videos, you can check it now. So please press the bell icon and please like, share and subscribe this channel to get more videos about American literature and Ignou MSc subjects. So thank you viewers. So let's start, we will proceed. So the idea of order at Key West. So today I will cover the idea of order at Key West. Okay, so here is the text of the poem 5, the idea of order at Key West. She sang beyond the genius of the sea, the water never formed to mind her voice, like a body, holy body fluttering its empty sleeves, and yet its mimic motion made constant cry, caused constantly a cry that was not ours, although we understood, inhuman of the veritable ocean. The sea was not a mask, no more was sea. The song and water were not medled sound, even if what she sang was what she heard, since what she sang was uttered word by word. It may be that in all her phrases stirred the grinding water and the gasping wind, but it was she and not the sea we heard. For she was the maker of the song she sang, the ever-wooded, tragic-gestured she was merely a place by which she walked to sing. Whose spirit is this? We said, because we knew it was the spirit that we sought, and knew that we should ask this often as she sang. If it was only the dark voice of the sea that rose or even colored by many waves, if it was only the outer voice of sky and cloud, of the sunken coral water world, however clear, it would have been deep air, the heaving speech of air, a summer sound repeated in a summer without end, and sound alone, but it was more than that. More even than her voice and ours among the meaningless plungings of water and the wind, theatrical distances, bronze shadows heaved on high horizons, mountainous atmospheres of sky and sea. It was her voice that made the sky acutest at its vanishing. She measured to the hour its solitude. She was the singer, artificer of the world in which she sang, and when she sang, the sea, whatever self it had, became the self. That was her song, for she was the maker. Then we, as we beheld her striding there alone, knew that there never was a world for her, except the one she sang and singing made. Ramon Fernandez, tell me if you know why, when the singing ended and we turned toward the town, tell why the glassy lights, the lights in the fishing boats at anchor there, as the night descended, tilting in the air, mastered the night and portioned out the sea, fixing emblazoned zones and fiery poles, arranging, deepening, enchanting night. Oh, blessed race for order, pale Raman, the makers race to order words of the sea, words of the fragrant portals dimly starred, and of ourselves and of our origins in ghostlier demarcation, keener sounds. So here it is all about the poem. You can see here it is a 55 lines, you can see already. So here it is the 55 lines. Okay, then we will go background and critical appreciation. The poem appeared in 1935 and is one of the best known of Stevens' poems. The first stanza is complex stanza. Here Stevens is describing a woman singing by the seashore in Key West and the effect of her song has on the listeners. Although the woman is not singing about the sea seems to find expression in her song, and the song elicits a response in the minds of the listeners. Stevens is obviously referring to the mimesis theory of art. So all of you know what is mimesis theory. So mimesis theory is already in your Plato's or Aristotle's poetic imitation. So you can go through MSc5 literary criticism and you will get all about this, what is mimesis theory of art and what relation art has to life. This was a debate that was first opened by Plato, a circa 4th century BC Greek philosopher. According to him, art was a reflection of a reflection and had no relation to truth. Aristotle in his Poetics, c. 330 BC, claimed that art should be judged on its own merits and not on whether it was a true reflection of life. Romantic poets like Wordsworth argued that the poet's imagination transformed nature and added a certain radiance that was not intrinsically present in nature. Stevens, as a modernist, here is trying to unravel the effect nature, as exemplified by the ocean, has on the artist, exemplified by the woman singing a song, and the effect art has on its audience. This gradually unravels in the course of the poem. In the second stanza, the poet is trying to decipher the exact relation between the song and the sea. Is the sea merely a location for the woman's song? Is the sea her inspiration? Even if she sings what she hears, she transforms it because the sea cannot use words and she can. Was it the spirit of the sea finding expression in her song, or was it her imagination at work? These and many other questions are aroused in the minds of the audience. Again, Stevens is probing the problem of the interaction between nature and art and role played by both nature and by the artist's imagination. Nature is transformed by the artist's imagination and finds intelligible voice through it. The listeners feel they understand the tragic nature of the sea because of the woman's song. In the third stanza, the poet is saying that if the woman's song were merely a replica of the voice of the sea, then it would have no words. It would sound only like air. It would be sound alone. But it is something more than that. It is something more even than her voice, or the voice of her listeners, or the voice of the tilt landscape of the sea that surrounds them. In the second part of the stanza, which begins from line 34, it was her voice. The poet explains that the woman's voice made the sea and the sky and the everything that surround them find a voice. The woman's voice gave the power of speech to the sea, the sky, and the bronze shadows of quilt. The woman creates a world through her song. This too relates to what Elizabethan poet critics like Philip Sidney say about the relation between the poet's imagination and nature. Sidney, in an apology for poetry, writes, "Only the poet, disdaining to be tied to any such subjection to nature, lifted up with vigour of his own invention, doth grow in effect another nature, in making things either better than nature, bringeth forth or quite a new form such as never were in nature. So as he goeth hand in hand with nature, not enclosed within the narrow warrant of our gifts, but freely ranging only within the zodiac of his own wit. Nature never set forth the earth is so rich tapestry as divers poets have done, neither with pleasant rivers, fruitful trees, sweet-smelling flowers. Her world is brazen, the poets only deliver a golden, neither let it be dimmed to saucy a comparison to balance the highest point of man's wit with the efficacy of nature, but rather give right honor to the heavenly maker of that maker, who having made man to his own likeness, set him beyond and over all the works of that second nature, which in nothing he sought so much as in poetry, when with the force of his divine breath he brings things forth for suppressing her nature's doings. In other words, the artist becomes a sort of surrogate god or creator, not Stevens, to use the words artificer and maker. In the last stanza, the poet asks an imaginary friend, imaginary friend Ramon Fernandez, who had apparently been listening to the song along with him. Why everything around looked different when the song ended. The lights of the fishing boats seemed to be divided night into perfectly ordered zones of radiance. They seemed to intensify the effect of the night. Why was this so? In the final stanza, the poet himself suggests an answer to the question posed in the earlier stanza. He says the effect on the landscape came about through the artist's race for order, which is a blessed one. The artist's power of creation is a great gift. It is through this gift that this artist makes nature and our origins clearer to us. But at the same time, the artist's creation leaves us room for flexibility in interpretation. The demarcation are ghostlier, less real than nature itself, more ambiguous too, and yet the sounds are keener. That is, art gives a heightened awareness of nature and of life. Notes. Title. Order is a very important concept for Stevens, particularly in the sense of the order imposed by the artist's imagination on the chaos of nature. Key West is a place in Florida. Stevens used to vacation in Florida quite regularly, and some critics see the ponds and tropical fruits, birds, and colors in his poems to stem from his experiences in Florida. So here it is stanza 1. Genius. This cloud mean a truly or guardian spirit. Then inspiration. That is line 3, like a body sleeps. This is a smile, in which Stevens says that the sea does not become a body through the singer's song, a body cloth in a sart whose sleeves are empty, but that the spirit of the sea is reflected in the singer's song. Spirit rather than body is what finds expression. Then line 4, 5, mimic motion, constant cry. Constant cry. Note how the alliteration of M and C reflects the sense of the lines. The song and the C are the imitating each other. Similarly, the M and C sounds are repeated in order to reflect in sound the sense of mimicry. Then come to stanza 2. The line 8, mask. I think by this word Steven means to suggest Greek drama with its use of masks, and by implication Aristotle's theory of catharsis. Aristotle argued that art made pleasurable and instructive what was often horrifying in real life. For example, the story of Oedipus killing his father and marrying his mother would have merely shocked us if we had read about it in the newspapers. But Sophocles, in his great tragedy Oedipus Rex, makes it a grand and moving tale. The word tragic used later in line 16 also suggests that Stevens was thinking along these lines. Then medleyed sound, mixed sound. Grinding water, grasping wind. Note the alliteration of G and W to suggest the sound of the water and the wind and the effect of the wind on the water. Maker, this is a loaded word because it means not just composer. It refers back to the word that Greeks used for poets and thus situates this poem in the whole art-life debate. The woman and her song represent the artist and his or her artistic creation. Line 16, ever wooded, tragic gestured sea. The sea is personified as a person whose head is covered and whose hand movements are sorrowful. This means that it is difficult to interpret the sea. A hood covers the face and the hands move sadly. But there are only movements, no sounds or words to express what the sea is feeling. Then stanza 3, line 21. Dark means not just color but inscrutability. The sea's voice is difficult to understand. Line 24. Sunk in coral water world. Coral is hand substance. Red, pink, orange or white in color, which is secreted by some types of marine polyps for support. This is a lovely phrase which captures through sound and alliteration of W the sense of the coral deep beneath the sea surrounded by water. Then stanza 4, line 43. Ramon Fernandez. Stevens point out in his letter that this name was not meant to refer to any particular person, particularly not to the critic of that name, but that had just strung to common Spanish names together. Then stanza 5. Line 55, demarcation marks of a boundary. Then let us sum up. Stevens is a poet who is deeply concerned about the world of poetry and the world of the imagination. He enters into the age-old debate about the relative merits of life and art. Does one feed on the other? Does one supersede the other? He seems to suggest in the idea of order at Key West what art adds something to life that is not just mimicking or mirror or copy or mimesis of it. The art produced by the artist lives on even after the artist dies. In The Emperor of Ice Cream, art to Stevens seems to take the place of religion in a world where institutionalized religions like Christianity have fewer and fewer believers. In The Sunday Morning, he tries to convince one such timorous believer that life in its very fleetingness has a more powerful allure than the impossible to confirm promise of an everlasting Christian paradise. So here it is glossary. So pagan, pre-Christian, mimesis, the Greek word of imitation, entered the realm of aesthetics when Aristotle used it in his Poetics c. 330 BC, one of the earliest works of literary criticism, which already I have told. It is the Greek word for imitation and entered the realm of aesthetics when Aristotle used in its Poetics. So here it is all about the poem The Idea of Order at Key West. Okay, so here it is the artist most enhanced and most wonderful creation, The Idea of Order at Key West. Okay, so in this poem there is a woman and sea, and all these conversation are beautifully portrayed in this poem, that is The Idea of Order at Key West. So here it is the question. You can see, what does Sunday Morning say about the conflicting claims of Christianity and paganism? Analyze the significance of the lines, and in the isolation of the sky at evening, casual flocks of pigeons. Analyze all the ways in the life and death are juxtaposed the Emperor of Ice Cream. The significance of juxtaposition, here it is the main questions you can get in your Ignou MEG exam, in your coming exam June. What does the idea of order at Key West contribute to the art versus life debate which thinkers and poets like Plato, Aristotle, Sidney and Wordsworth have spoken about? Here it is also a important question which you may get in your June exam. So here it is for the reading: Aristotle, Bloom Harold, then Elman Ricard, Robert Auclair, Gottsman, Ronald et al., then Norton in New York. So here it is the reference you can go through: Plato, Sidney, Phillips, Stevens Wallace and Wendler Helen. So this is all about the poem The Idea of Order at Key West. So my dear learner, please like, share, subscribe this channel to get more notification about American literature. So next I will cover unit 28, and I am starting to cover daily your MEG 6 American literature and MEG 15 literature, so which you will get which you will follow my channel, and you will get sure success in your Ignou exam. So thank you viewers.